Hello, class of History 701. Today I'm going to talk about information literacy and its relationship to primary source analysis for a future American History 1 class, U.S. History 221. On the Liberty University's course description for the class under subset 3, it says explain how political, economic, military, diplomatic, religious, and cultural factors influenced the American development to 1865. That being said, the special topic for my class would be the analysis of religious influence and its connection to the cultural. Before I dive into deep, I would like to specify what we mean by cultural literacy. The U.S. National Commission on Library Information defines it as the concerns and needs and ability to identify, locate, evaluate information literacy, as well as to organize and effectively create, use, communicate information to address issues or problems at hand. Concerning the founding of the nation, then it might be important to direct students to the New England Memorial or a brief relationship to the most memorial and remarkable passages of the providence of God manifested in the Planters of New England and America, published in 1669. On page 15, students can read the original Mayflower Compact. And it says, in the presence of God and one another, covenant and combined ourselves together into a civil body politic, for a better ordering and preservation of furtherance of the ends aforesaid, and by virtue hereof to enact, constitute, and frame such just and equal laws, ordinance, acts, constitutions, and offices from time to time as shall be thought the most meet and convenient for the general good of the colony, until which we promise all due submission and obedience. There's a few ways to direct this learning. Two methods I like to use for both the adults and adolescents I teach is to use experiential learning and facilitated instructions and discussions. Part one would be to have students read the article or at a discussion board on the connection to covenant theology, with special emphasis on office holders coming together to meet the general good of society, the understanding that government is legitimate and binding only when it's established with the consent of those agreed to be governed. Part two would then be a deeper dive in class or a video conference on what that means for the later founding of the nation, the separation of powers, the creation of the Constitution, and how connected covenant theology is connected to the U.S. government. A good follow-on assignment might be to read the Journal of John Winthrop, specifically a model of Christian charity, in that he writes that we shall be a city upon the hill. The eyes of all the people are upon us. However, he also writes about a covenant when he says that every man might have need of others, and from hence they might be all knit more nearly together in the bonds of brotherly affection. As we can see from this document, there's once again a reference to covenant, but also about being moral and a light to other nations. Lastly, students might be led to analyze both Jonathan Edwards' faithful narrative of the surprising work of God, as well as the conversion of many hundred souls in Northampton and the neighboring towns and villages in the county of Hampshire, as well as his writing entitled The Justification of Faith Alone. The student then can be guided to see the individual and personal salvation, however, this experience being very much connected to the community. The students can then be led to discuss individualistic salvation theology connected to the greater communal experience and how that relates to the great American diaspora of culture, religion, and even politics, being that we have a juxtaposition of individualistic yet communal experiences that can be both useful or a cause of conflict in American history. Thank you very much for listening to me today. Have a good day now.